Welcome back to Nerd News Today. I'm Matthew, and in this episode we have another Marvel Gallery diorama piece from Diamond Select to take a look at. And this one is going really deep into the older style look of the costumes and characters here, because we're taking a look at what is basically, in my mind, a very classic version of the Wasp. The Wasp is one of the founding members of the Avengers, and really, I don't think she's super partial to having a lot of merchandise with her on it. I know we've had a Marvel Legends figure quite some time ago. I think there's been a few other things here and there, but really the Wasp doesn't get a lot of merchandising love. So for anybody out there who's really trying to complete an Avengers collection in statue form, this could very well be the piece that you need. But before we get to that, let's go ahead real quick and talk about this packaging here. And this packaging is basically not only identical to pretty much any of the Marvel Gallery diorama pieces we've seen recently, but also in terms of just other statues too from Diamond. Now, all the Marvel Gallery diorama pieces, for the most part, have been in this kind of gray, metallic, shiny look, with whatever officially licensed logo that Marvel is allowing for these characters to be used right now up front, which sounds very stuffy, but hey, it's the truth. It might not be the original logo from the 60s, but this is at least what we're getting now in 2022. This being a diamond piece also, it means we get a lot of windows. So we have a very large center window on the front with that huge logo covering up some of her bottom parts there. We also have windows on the left and on the right. And as always, lest we forget, the handy dandy Diamond Select sunroof. The back of the box has a very nice bio all about who Wasp is. Lets us know just a little bit enough about her from essentially that time period to kind of just fill you in on anything that you need to know about her. Nothing too crazy, it's just right. And the package also lets us know that this piece was designed by Nelson X. Asensio and sculpted by Jean St. John. So to be fair, we've already seen this type of box in a lot of other reviews, so I don't really have much else to say about it, and I don't think we should spend so much more time looking at it. So let's go ahead and get our Wasp out of the packaging and take a closer look at her from all angles. Alright, and here is our Wasp out of the packaging. And I gotta tell you guys, it's actually kind of fun here. She's pretty light too. It's kind of a nice little touch there. You know, I don't know if that was intentional or just because of how the plastic is or how this piece is shaped, but you know, compared to a lot of other pieces we've looked at lately in this same Marvel series, you know, it's really nice to be able just to pick one up with one hand and not feel like I'm about to give myself a hernia. So, way to go with that. Now, you guys might notice right now that something is actually missing from this piece. And what is that thing that's missing? Well, we don't have any wings right now. So why is that? Well, that's because the wings were in fact packaged separately. So I happen to have those right here in my hand, so let's go ahead and attach them because yes, they're actually separate pieces that you could slot into the back of her shoulders, which is really cool, and they're packaged separately that way too. That's really great because it also helps protect these things from getting damaged while shipping or being moved around. And the way you tell which one goes in which is because you can see there's a little black kind of half dot on the back of them. The black dot should face up, so if that works out correctly, we should be able just to slide these on in and that should solve that problem. And yes, just like that, the wings are in and really just add so much more to this character. Those look cool, yeah. So they don't really pose, but they're not meant to move around, but that is where they go, and they're looking nice. So let's go ahead and start talking about this piece. And you know, unfortunately, because this piece is very vertical, that means, in other words, a lot of wide shots we're going to have to deal with here. So let's just try and get some more close-ups and talk about this piece by piece. Now, why don't we start, in fact, where we just were, and that's with the head and the face. So, do we think this looks like the Wasp? You know, that's tough to say here, because I don't really ever think of the Wasp as really a likeness, I guess. I know it's bizarre to say, but like, you know, as opposed to like Tony Stark or Bruce Banner or Steve Rogers, you know, you kind of have a face in mind. I don't think I really have one ever with the Wasp. So I guess the question then becomes, do I like the head? And yeah, the head is fine. I mean, it's honestly just, it's inoffensive. That's kind of the best thing I could say about it in terms of likeness, because it's whatever. I don't really have any frame of reference really with this character. And when you consider, you know, this is meant to be Wasp in basically the 60s, original version of Wasp, she was drawn pretty much, you know, fairly indistinctly from other female characters at the time. So, you know, there's not going to be really much difference in how her face is going to look. But to kind of answer the question, I mean, yeah, it's fine. It's good. It's a good face. Just nothing to write home about. Detail-wise, it's really missing a lot of details. In fact, when you start looking down at the rest of the piece, which I guess we're going to start doing now, I mean, yeah, like, there's not really much depth to it either. Her face is kind of one note in terms of the paint job. I do like the color lipstick because it matches her outfit, matches the red. And I do enjoy these little antennae that she has sticking out of her ears. I mean, that's kind of, or out of the top of her head. I think that's kind of a funny little thing there. But, you know, face is fine. Nothing really dramatic, nothing amazing here. So let's spend some time talking about the pose at least, because I think that's a little more exciting. And we're going to just start with her, herself, her body. Not really her or the diorama just yet, but you know, in terms of her pose, it's really light. It feels just as light as when I picked it up. Like, it actually feels physically and dimensionally light in terms of the space that she takes up and how she's doing it. Like, her movement here, it's also very kind of gentle. You know, like, this is her in action, but it's still a pretty feminine kind of pose. It's still a very light kind of way. It's almost dancer-like, especially when you look at like how her legs are positioned here. I mean, she is, you know, you can kind of see a little bit of the base here. She is kind of meant to be taking off right now, so she's a little bit kind of sort of in midair. So, it's interesting that way. And I do like also the curve of the piece, because that's kind of the dynamic element of this piece here, is that it's not like she's just coming straight up or down any one way. It's very much a curved, softer kind of action pose. And that's kind of mimicked also by her legs and how we have the leg bend, and just how her hips go with it too. This round energy blast as well coming out of her hand here. So, it's a very kind of soft action pose, but it's also not necessarily a bad thing either, because it really kind of offsets the other pieces that are in this lineup here. The costume looks really nice too. I will say again, this is like kind of that classic Wasp look, so it's not going to be as exciting as other characters necessarily, but this whole line has been about that original kind of classic 60s, 70s, maybe even into the early 80s kind of look. One of the nice things about it though is that there is some multicolor here. There is some kind of depth going on because there is some shading happening here, especially in her shoulders, in her torso, around by the dress. I think a little bit in the gloves, and definitely some in the boots too. So that adds to the depth of the piece. The one thing we do have to talk about though is the fact that there's a lot of black in this piece, and unfortunately black is a color that does kind of zap dimension out of it and really flattens things out. And this is a great example of that because this is pretty much a shade of black where there's nothing else they can do with it. So it's just black. I don't really think there's any gray highlights. I mean, it looks like there might be some kind of highlights, but it might just be my lighting. It does have a shiny effect to it, so you are getting a little bit of some dimension in the piece. You can see some outlines of things. So it's not like just this kind of matte black finish where you lose everything, but you do lose a lot of information here with that outfit choice. And the blue as well, the kind of blue highlights here and there, it's not really doing much to help her either. It just kind of is there. It adds a little more color. It helps complement the red. But otherwise, the red is super dominant with how it looks, but the black just really flattens out and makes her look a little bit less full as she could be. Let's spend some time with these wings too, by the way, because I know I've kind of neglected them once I put them on, but the wings look really cool. I mean, you guys can see them right now, and how they're like really very see-through and very fragile looking. They are not super fragile, by the way. I mean, they're actually a pretty decent piece of plastic here. They're not going to break easily. If they fell, that's a different story. But again, the fact that they're removable should add you a little bit of, safety. You should go to bed at night knowing this will mostly be safe, and if she falls, it's going to basically be everything else over here that's going to break first, and not the wings. Yay for that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the wings are great. I love the colors on them. I like these black spots. I like the different texture elements on them too. They look like actual insect wings. Like, that's really nice. I like that effect. Personally, I like it a lot more than I like this energy blast because, unfortunately, just the way it's constructed, you can basically see that it's a two-piece mold kind of slapped together. Not a really great looking color. Yeah, I don't like the energy blast too much here. And again, sorry for the fact that I'm going to have to move this camera around a lot. I know it's probably hard to watch this video just the way that this is, but again, the way her body is shaped, and you can really see it from the back here, I think the best from what I've been talking about is like, look at this curve. It's really kind of hard to keep her in one spot and get a good shot of her. This curve just kind of throws everything off here. So, let's spend some time talking about her base, though, because the base is definitely one of those redeeming qualities about this piece here. And let's see, I'm going to rotate it around a little bit here. So, the nice thing about this base, by the way, we're talking about already how she's kind of like on this soft, curvy angle. But then we do have this piece of rod kind of over here sticking out. That does kind of help ground her a little bit, and it also helps add a little bit of dimensional effect to it. I always talk about that X effect going on, so this is where the X kind of intersects. Unfortunately, it's down here. That's kind of where my eye tends to go first. And that's, talk about the whole piece too. I mean, yeah, just because that's where our two shapes intersect here, you just kind of get stuck over here. Luckily, the colors help bring you back out this way and bring you back to what you should be looking at. But, odd choice for how they did this. If anything, I would have liked this to be a little bit taller, maybe a little bit closer to her, and also kind of help intersect with her, because, yeah, it's an odd choice of aesthetic here. But as for the rest of that base, though, I think it looks pretty cool. It's actually a really nice base. I don't ever dislike any bases Diamond Select does, and if you guys are regular viewers of the channel, you already know that. This has got some cool smoke and water effects, too. I mean, we have some kind of water seeping out of this broken sidewalk over here, which is not a translucent effect. It's actually just painted blue. You can even see the gray underneath it, so not the most dramatic looking, but the plumes of smoke that we have over here, and especially coming out from her feet, and this signpost over here, that's really nice looking. This would look really cool illuminated, but I like the detail work in the bricks. I like it on the sidewalk. Really nice bunch of different textures and colors and effects going on down here. It's just unfortunate that while we do have a lot of those elements still up top with the rest of the piece, because we do have her wings, we have her energy effect, but I don't really like it as much. And maybe it's just the aggressiveness of the colors I'm not liking either. Like, I like the wings, I like how those look, but this red is so, like, red. It's very much like a lipstick kind of red. Like I said, we saw it over here in her face. It's just such a bright color of red. This yellow is just kind of ugly next to it also. The black is not doing it any favors. It's it's just kind of a weird mishmash of things happening, and I'm not really super into it, unfortunately. So, you know, I talked about earlier at the beginning of this video how there's not a lot of Wasp merchandise, and, you know, if you're an Avengers collector or you're trying to collect a certain series, will this be the piece to finish off your collection? I would say yes. I do think it would be fine amongst other pieces, but for me, and just for having it stand on its own, I could live without it, unfortunately. Not a favorite, just don't like the color choices. You know, I know the green, especially here, this green and that green, should help balance with the red, but it's not doing it for me either. I mean, same thing with the blue here. This just feels like a lot of different elements that have not quite melded as well together as other statues have in the same series. And we've looked at a few of them already on this channel, so I recommend you go check those out and you can see exactly what I mean about how those elements work together better. I don't think they're doing it here. It's not an epic fail, I'm not going to say anything like that, but it's definitely on the lower scale of where I would rank these statues. That's an absolute, for sure, thing I would say about them. That's what I just said. So, yeah, that is pretty much your review right now of this Wasp piece from Diamond Select's Marvel Select Gallery Diorama series. It's not my favorite, but if you're collecting this whole series, you're going to need her anyway, so I would say go ahead and grab her up if that's the case. But I'll add the caveat of grab her from Amazon, wait till she goes down in price a little bit, because I think this is going to be one of those statues that does go down a wee bit in price over time, and I don't think it's going to be the most sought after piece either, so have a little bit of patience and I think you'll get a good deal on her, and that'll make it worth getting. And speaking of, if you want to buy this piece for yourself, go ahead and check her out on Amazon. We're going to have links, affiliate links below in the description, so go ahead, take a peek down in the description below. You'll find those links there. Please help us out. And by the way, if you're a new viewer on this channel, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below as well, and let me know what you think about the statue. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This is Nerd News Today. Hope to see you guys back here again for the next video we have coming up very, very soon, which is going to be more statue reviews, more action figure reviews, and everything else we do here on the channel. So see you guys next time.